How's it, punters? Welcome back to Best Sports Betting, and today Simon and I are taking a look at some of the withdrawal options at Betway South Africa. We're having a quick chat about what's available and what are some of the issues that you might experience while requesting a withdrawal, that sort of thing. So Simon, you recently did an article for Betting Guide, so this should all be fresh in your mind, everything with Betway withdrawals.
Yeah, so in the article I just outlined, obviously some of the methods through which you can withdraw money from Betway, as well as some of the kind of common problems that come up and how to fix them. So I don't know, Rob, should we first go through some of the methods available, and then we can kind of talk about some of the terms and conditions perhaps, or problems that punters might face?
So let's start off with the good old classic EFT, which I think is the best withdrawal method. It's free to do. With Standard Bank, it's actually very quick if you're withdrawing from Betway to Standard Bank. I'm not sure if you knew this, but that's the quickest way you can withdraw. I think they might have their business accounts with Standard Bank, and that's actually usually a same or next day withdrawal, but they say the process time on EFT is 1 to 2 business days. Why I think it's the best one is because the minimum withdrawal for an EFT is $50. It's the lowest of all the different withdrawals. It's affordable to kind of any sort of punter, and the max is also the highest at 1 million.
Yeah, and while the processing time is 1 to 2 days, generally speaking, and look, this is usually the case. It's not always the case. There are some other factors which can influence this, but if you make a withdrawal before 12 p.m., so that's noon, Monday to Friday, generally your withdrawal will be in your account the same day. So as long as you make a morning withdrawal, the funds should reflect the very same day in your account. But if that doesn't happen, you can almost be guaranteed that the money will be in your account the next day. Obviously, if you do make a withdrawal on a weekend, so if it's after lunchtime on a Friday, those funds will only reflect in your account on the Monday. So the best time to really make a withdrawal is on a weekday in the morning.
Yes, 100%. And, it's something that Betway and them constantly drilling into the punters, that they don't process withdrawals over the weekend. There aren't very many bookies that do process withdrawals over the weekend, so it's not just a Betway thing. You might find Hollywood Bet, you might be able to twist their arm if you're a VIP or something like that for a weekend withdrawal, but generally it is not the rule. Then we have Instant Money, Absa Cash Send, and FNB ewallets. I'm just quickly going to explain what those are. Basically, these are withdrawal methods that Betway will send you a voucher code or a voucher pin that you can go and redeem at an ATM. So it's kind of like a check almost that they send you. You get the SMS or the email, and you go down to the ATM, you put in the unique code that they've sent you, and that ATM will spit out the withdrawal in cash. So it doesn't actually go into your account. It's basically a cash withdrawal. What else could you tell us about some of these withdrawal methods?
Well, what's really nice about using Absa Cash Send or FNB ewallet is you actually don't need to belong to that bank to do it. So you basically just request the withdrawal from Betway, as you mentioned, get the PIN, and then go to the ATM, and you can actually withdraw those funds from those banks even if you don't belong to them. So even if you say bank with Capitec, you can withdraw your Betway cash from an Absa ATM or an FNB ATM. Yes. So that's quite handy.
You don't need not a betting account. You don't need a bank account with any of these withdrawal methods. You just need access to the ATM. That's all you need. You don't even need a card. You're literally taking, you're going there and you're pressing the pin into the ATM without putting in your card. There is an option on the ATM. I've actually tried it myself a couple of times. It's a very cool payment method. The drawbacks are that the minimum amounts are actually pretty high for this kind of withdrawal method, and I'm assuming that's probably to help offset some of the banking charges that Betway are going to take upon themselves for offering this kind of deposit method, or withdrawal method rather.
Yeah, so for FNB ewallets, your minimum withdrawal is 300, but you can withdraw up to 25,000, so that's quite a decent amount. And then with Absa Cash Send, your minimum is also 300, but you can only draw up to 3,000 per day. So 300 is quite a high minimum withdrawal. So that is one sort of downside to using an e-wallet, is that the withdrawal is on the slightly high side, the minimum.
And they promise 24-hour process time, so you should be getting that within a day or so. Personally, I'm going to say stick with EFT. I think EFT is the best. You can do it to any bank. If you have a bank account, Time Bank, Capitec, Standard Bank, FNB, Absa, you name it, you'll be able to withdraw to it if it's a local South African bank. But obviously not everyone has bank accounts, not everyone has access to one. So I do think those voucher withdrawals do have some value. What's also nice is you could potentially withdraw your money from Betway and actually give it to someone else, instead of EFTing it to them. So if I were to withdraw 500 Rand and I owe you 500 Rand, I could literally just send you the voucher pin and you could actually go and take out that 500 Rand. It doesn't require me to do it. Which is also not a great thing when it comes to fraud, but I'm sure they've got some good checks and processes going in when you do request a withdrawal. What's your preferred method of withdrawal, Simon?
Always EFT. I find it's just the most flexible and often the fastest. So whenever I can withdraw via EFT, that's definitely my preferred method of choice.
So before we wrap up, Simon, let's talk about some of the different errors and problems that you might have with Betway withdrawals. One of the big ones is having your withdrawal reversed. Now, what are some of the reasons that might happen?
Yeah, so there are a number of reasons that could happen. Firstly, the first one is wagering. So any deposit you make, you must wager in full before you're able to make a withdrawal. So for instance, you can't deposit 100 Rand and then only bet 50 of it and then withdraw the other 50. So you need to bet the full amount to make a withdrawal. That said, it doesn't mean you need to bet the full amount at once. So if you deposit that 100, you can place a bet, say for 20 Rand, and then wait till you have some winnings from that 20 Rand, and then bet the other 80. But as soon as you've bet the full amount, so as soon as you bet the full amount you deposited, then you'll be able to request a withdrawal. And then another common reason, and perhaps the most common reason, that Betway withdrawals are reversed is that your FICA documents haven't been submitted or they haven't been accepted. So as most punters will probably know, you need to submit a copy of your ID or passport, as well as a copy of a proof of address. And these documents, your proof of address especially, needs to be no older than 3 months, and it needs to be clear and legible. So you can't have it can't be taken in a sort of dark room with blurry text or photos. It must be a very clear.
Yeah, make sure that they can read it, that you and them can read it. The customer support. Don't give them a reason not to pay your withdrawal.
Yeah, so just make sure that the text is easily legible. You can read your name and the dates and so on very easily on all the documents. And once you've submitted those documents, then they should be approved as long as everything is in compliance with their requirements. So as I said, it needs to be no older than 3 months and must be easily legible. And then once your FICA documents have been approved, then you'll be able to make your withdrawal. So just make sure that you have not only sent in your documents, but your documents are legible, and once they're approved, you'll be able to make the withdrawal. Yes,
and Betway don't always ask for FICA documents on withdrawal. It's something that's kind of a lot of bookmakers have not moved away from, but they've sort of got a bit more lenient on. It's usually over certain amounts, or it's on random accounts that they do it now for your first withdrawals, and if you're a new customer and things like that. So if you're a new customer and you're withdrawing maybe $200 as your first withdrawal, you're probably not going to be asked to send in those FICA documents. But it's always good to have them sent in case they do ask for them.
Yes, and one other thing with regards to the FICA documents that I didn't mention earlier is you need to make sure that information on those documents is the same information that you provided during sign up. So you can't use a different name. The documents must have the same name, the same physical address, the same ID or passport number, and all the other details must be the same. So just make sure that the information you use when you sign up is the same information that you can prove, through your FICA documents. So just make sure that those two are the same.
Perfect. Thanks, Simon. So I think that's us pretty wrapped up about all the different Betway withdrawal options, some of the problems that you might have with Betway withdrawals. Make sure your docs are in order. Wait a couple of days for that withdrawal. Don't take it as a 1 to 2. Don't take that literally. It might take a little longer. Even if it does come earlier, I wouldn't bank on it being always 1 to 2 or 24 hours. There are people that need to process these things, so it might take a little longer. Don't request withdrawals over the weekend. You're only going to get it on Monday or Tuesday. And if you've had one of those problems, then hopefully you can sort it out with sending in your docs, or completing the wagering on your deposited funds. So guys, thanks for tuning in. I hope you learned something new, and we'll catch you in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Cheers.